This is an article from Bounding Into Comics, one of our go-to sources at this point. It says Marvel's producer Nate Moore attempts to explain abysmal Rotten Tomatoes scores for Eternals. So before I read this, let's play a little guessing game, Joseph.
Okay.
What do you think he blames the scores on?
White supremacy.
Okay. Anything else? What else? Anything else come to mind?
Oh, man. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Okay. So they just kind of go through. I just want to get to his thing. So Eternals currently sits at a 47%.
Oh, the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah. That might be a good one. It's sitting at a 47% right now on Rotten Tomatoes, and it goes over like all the different like numbers, whatever. Moore's comments about the abysmal Rotten Tomatoes scores came during an appearance on The Ringer, recapping all of the Disney Plus announcements that they had a little while ago. We kind of covered it on here. It's a ton of of stuff. Most of it looks like garbage. His blah blah blah. More. Let's see. His answer came after he was specifically asked about Marvel Studios' reaction to the Rotten Tomatoes score for Eternals and whether it will affect how Marvel makes their movies. As Moore responded, "I think it was shocking. I think a little bit of that is expectation, which is weird, right?
Right.
I was like, I don't know what you guys were expecting and who you were listening to, but."
It's that bubble, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think you're right. They all. That's the thing is that you go back and watch any of the interviews, and they were all kind of like on branding and message the whole time. It's at the beginning of our Eternals review where it's just like diversity, diversity, diversity. Oh, hey, there's a gay couple. Diversity, diversity, diversity.
Right.
He says, look, going out of Avengers Endgame, everything was a bit under the microscope. This movie was intended to be the first original after Avengers, which I don't. What does he? I guess original character. I'd have to look back at the thing, but it's like, what about Shang-Chi?
Yeah, right.
Like doing Shang-Chi dirty.
What do you mean by original after Avengers? And then COVID hit and everything changed.
Yeah. So he says that after the Avengers. Oh, and then. There you go. Ding, ding. COVID hit and everything changed.
Wah, wah.
From there, Moore pointed out Academy Award winner Chloe Zhao. In the meantime, Chloe won an Academy Award. She wasn't an Academy Award winner when we hired her. Actually hadn't made Nomadland when we hired her. So I think the expectation on that movie started to grow, right? I would say no. I think everyone.
I would say no as well.
I think everyone that was paying attention, they knew ahead of time that she had gotten this before winning that Academy Award. Right? Like I wasn't even paying super, super close attention to Eternals, and I knew that because she got the job to direct. Nomadland had been nominated, right? And it was like, and it was one of those things where you go, I bet she's gonna win.
And because she's directing.
Yeah, the minute she won, all of the commercials said Academy Award winner Chloe Zhao. So their expectations were their own doing.
Yep.
They were the ones that were like pumping this up, and I think a lot of people saw through it. He continued, there was no Academy Award winner Chloe Zhao. It was Chloe Zhao who did The Rider, which was one of her movies. By the way, I put her IMDb page on there. She directed 2 feature-length indie movies before she got hired, or as some people say, casted, to direct Eternals. Everything else I didn't even count the shorts that were in there. And it's like, okay, Marvel puts out this $200 million movie. I think it was a little under that, right? Wasn't it like 160, 170
something
million?
like that.
They gave that to a director who won an Academy Award for, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Nomadland is a documentary of types.
Yes, I think so.
It's
like a
I never ended up watching it because I was like,
I haven't watched it either, but I think it's like one of those documentaries where there's acting in it, if that makes sense. So it's not like real life documentary. Because it's just following a lady as she travels across America.
Right. That's the only. I'd only ever seen one trailer for it, and I was like, oh, is this just a documentary about a woman traveling across America? It's like, okay, cool. I don't really care. And then they give her a time-spanning, technically universe-spanning epic with 10 main characters, right? And this insane like plot.
Right.
It makes no sense, right? And so he has now, in an offhanded way, right? So he blames the Koof, and then in a way, he's blaming the director, right? Like,
yep.
Oh,
wink, wink.
Yeah, there was just so much expectation because she won an Academy Award. Not that I don't think most people care about that stuff anymore.
Right.
Doesn't
really say much.
Here you go. More than blamed the critics themselves for their expectations for the film. And he says, I think people, because Eternals didn't have one singular source material, which is a lie.
Right.
Which is either a lie of omission, like he knew there was, and he's saying this because they still don't think anyone knows what the Eternals are at this point.
Right.
Source material that anybody really knew. People started to map on their fantasy version of what the movie was without really having any context of what the movie we were making was about. All right.
I don't think you did either.
Hang on. I got to bring this up. I'm bringing up our... hang on. Give me like 2 seconds, everybody. We need this. This is off the script. I wasn't even planning on doing this.
Okay.
All right. But people need to understand what the expectation was for this movie.
Actors.
Okay. Give me like a second. We're going to get past this first part.
Okay. I can't hear it, by the way.
Right. Different.
So you know.
Okay. We're almost there.
Sure.
I'm gonna share this with you.
Okay.
What we're really seeing here in the Eternals is just the diversity of this cast here.
Right. Different.
Of such a diverse team.
Such diversity, inclusion.
Diversity and the inclusion.
First gay superhero in it.
Diverse.
For a diverse cast. For so long, we've seen superheroes that have looked like a small percentage of the world.
Diverse.
Diverse storylines.
The most different of all the post-Endgame movies.
Such a diverse
Hey, pause
cast.
it.
It's an incredibly diverse cast.
It is diversity cast, but it doesn't feel tokenistic.
Married to a gay superhero. What does that mean to you as a gay man, a gay actor in this town?
Can you imagine how many lives this is going to be saving?
Oh, I'm getting overwhelmed.
Let's go ahead. I love that. Dude, that took me forever to edit, by the way. I had to scan through so much garbage.
Dude, that is great and is spot on. I mean...
He's like, no, but no one had any expectations.
Above writing, yeah, exactly. When you put diversity above writing, that's what you get. Nothing wrong with diversity, nothing wrong with having it. It just can't be the focal point. Good storytelling has to be the focal point. I mean, we talked about how Dune was great. It was diverse.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, diverse. Arcane, diverse.
Very, yeah. There are properties that are doing it correctly because their focus is on making a good story, not about the identity of the characters, about who they're sleeping with, about what rate, like what color they happen to be born, like the
what their
orientation
is, what taking down the systems of oppression and stuff like that. Spider-Man today, I think they did a good job at doing nostalgia in a great way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet there are movies, trying to use this analogous, there are movies who do a bad job of using that, right? That we talk about. So again, when you try to make nostalgia the first, like the primary thing about a movie, instead of good storytelling, you fail. It's the same thing. When you put anything ahead of the engine, you fail.
Yeah. You still have to have something that goes along with this nostalgia that draws people in.
Right, exactly.
And there are properties that do that and properties that don't do it well. I mean, you look at Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't last because what they had wasn't good.
Right.
And the minute that it got put under somewhat of a microscope or like under, whatever, which for some reason always gets looked at as like a bad thing.
Right.
Which I've never understood, where it's like, why wouldn't you want to like hold people accountable so that things get better?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I know it's just movies or whatever. But yeah, I don't understand where it's like, no, actually it was like really bad, right? Like I really hope nobody watches this prequel series to Game of Thrones. Because something and this is, and I've had this discussion with people about like, speaking of Witcher, about Cyberpunk 2077.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, oh, it's fixed now. It's like, so you forgot that they lied to you about what this game was going to be, took your money anyway, and then said, oopsie, and,
right, exactly.
Like, oh, we'll fix it. And it's been over a year at this point, and it's like kind of bad. Like people, this is just a thing that happens with all of us, right? We've all been in this place. And I think it's time for a lot more people to finally come to terms with these things, right? Like I came to it with like The Force Awakens, and I mean it took The Last Jedi being a god-awful movie to get me there, but eventually you go, oh, this sucks.
I came there with The Hobbit.
Yeah, well, The Hobbit, that one never got me, but
The Force Awakens never got me.
Yeah.
Buddy.
Yeah, listen, we all have our cinema sins. It's like the stuff that, and here's the thing, I tell people all the time, it's okay for you to like stuff that's not good, right?
Yeah.
There are reasons that people like things, and there are things that people are willing to overlook. It's just one of those things that at some point it goes from you liking a specific thing because even though it's bad, to you just liking a lot of stuff that's bad. And then you go, why do you like this, right? There has to be something behind that.
Right.
And I think that you can have the jangling keys, but you have to have something that's good there as well, right?
Right.
Like I'm sure, listen, if I had been like a huge League of Legends fan and this show had come out and had been good and it was based on a property that I really liked, I would have been doubly excited to have something like that around, right? That's all,
exactly.
That's literally all people are asking for the most part. Is like we say all the time, it's like just respect the lore, like respect this thing that you've been given, understand that it's not yours.
Yep.
Right? Now, fans can be nuts. I understand that. There is definitely a balance, but I just don't I don't know. I don't know why it's such a problem other than you have this like we talked about it last week, the whole ESG thing. Where it's like everything just has to check box. I mean, you look at the Academy Awards. I think we talked about that a long time ago, maybe back when it was coming out. But the whole list of stuff that was required by the Academy Awards for a film to even be considered at this point, and it was all this intersectional garbage, like all this ESG stuff, where they're like, well, you have to have this number of like women working on the film, and this number of like, I don't even think they say minorities. They say like underrepresented peoples, or they have all of these
like that.
All these like buzzwords, all these dog whistles, and it's gonna ruin it. And sometimes I'm just like, good.
Yep. Sometimes I'm that
especially
way as well.
with like
and
with
you're gonna
Hollywood.
see it with indie coming up with better stuff, indie movies and shows and everything.
Yeah. Especially with Hollywood, the whole Me Too thing, that obviously being a like a front. I mean, leave it to the actors to do all the best acting in this like scenario. And obviously there are some of them that were very sincere. I think Rose McGowan is still out there somewhere like doing her thing, which has been really weird. She's been maybe red-pilled a little bit.
Yep.
She's never going to work in Hollywood again, I don't think.
No, because she called them all out. I don't think there's nothing wrong at all with calling out people who have done heinous things, regardless of if they're able to be criminally charged or not, right? And but it's more of what we're talking about is the acting behind it and the hypocrisy.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I mean, as far as Hollywood's concerned, I'm cool with it. Just metaphorically burning down in Minecraft.
Yes.
Gotta cover myself there.